Hi, I'm Phoebe from Lambrini Girls,
I'm Selin from Lambrini Girls,
and you're watching Consequence.
I've seen a lot of descriptions of your sound. So, for example, Apple Music says, furious and funny commentary on modern Britain. So how would you describe your own sound?
Well, me and Selin have very different musical influences. I do love using humour. I think it's a great tool to disarm people. I would say it is like tongue-in-cheek social commentary, I guess, in styles of the lyricism. Musically, we get pigeonholed as Riot Girl a lot. I loved listening to Riot Girl when I was young. I loved Bikini Kill, I loved L7, but that's not something we don't think our music sounds like other Riot Girl bands. Personally, I would say it's more post-punk or noisy.
It's hard because I fought back really hard against the punk label because I don't like punk music. But I think I've come to the point where I feel like we're inevitably kind of a punk band, I suppose. Phoebe and I are both extremely versatile musicians, which influences the way that we perceive ourselves, but I don't think we've fully displayed that in our music as much as we'd like to yet. So I'd agree with Phoebe's like noisy post-punk with a good streak of catchy choruses, poppy choruses, you know? We love pop music too, so...
Is there anybody in pop right now that you're listening to?
I'm like irrevocably and utterly obsessed with Bad Bunny at the moment. And generally just like non-English speaking music, I suppose. There's an artist called Saint Levant that I'm a big fan of right now as well. And honestly, like Bad Bunny has been like a gateway into a reggaeton rabbit hole for me. Like Bad Bunny is one of the mainstream artists that's bringing politics into his music, and he's utilizing his power as like a global star to shine a light on the effects of colonialism and American occupation in Puerto Rico. And I think that's really powerful, and I don't think there's that many examples in pop music that do that. So yeah, I'm a huge fan, basically.
You address toxic workplaces, toxic masculinity, toxic relationships. Why do you think we've arrived at this point of such high toxicity, and how can we combat it?
The world's on fire. I think it's hard for humans to behave when like your entire society is crumbling around you. But I think also because of capitalism, it's coming from such an individualistic approach of selfishness and not nurturing for others. You end up consuming and being self-serving because you don't know any different, to a point where you can't garner and nurture any healthy relationship with anything, if that be like people, substances, consumerism, if that be clothes. Everything's based off addiction, of filling a void, because, you know, capitalism divides and conquers us and we're left feeling incredibly lonely. So we're taught the only way is to fill a void. And I think that comes from zero mindfulness and just grabbing at things in hopes that they're going to make you feel less lonely or less alone. And it's a really hard thing to rewire. So it's no fucking surprise that people, you know, that there's issues when it comes to like systemic disorder, toxic relationships, substance abuse. We're all fucking drowning, you know, and we're going the totally wrong way about it because we don't know any different. I like the idea of if you're, you know, singing about universal social issues, which people are either really fucking angry about, or you're singing about issues which are relatable to other people, then I feel like there's a connection within that. And I think it's a great way to harbor community. So it's, as much as it's like a cathartic experience to be able to scream about shit that makes you angry or makes you sad or makes you feel scared, it's also with the intention that other people should hopefully find the same amount of catharsis to listen to it or to mosh to it or to dance to it.
I think also there's a sort of like symbiotic, problematic relationship between capitalism and the patriarchy. I think both benefit from each other. The patriarchy suppressing vulnerability in men and generally taking power away from women, placing men as the sort of main breadwinner and person in charge, denying them access to their own feelings means that they grow and fester and then display themselves in harmful ways. Because I think if you're not in touch with yourself, your feelings they're still there and they're going to mutate into something very, very ugly. And I think the patriarchy and capitalism asks that. The patriarchy, has been woven into our society for centuries. And that means that it's very, very inherent to how gender operates, which I think ultimately is very, very harmful. It's created that sort of binary structure, which places all of the power into the hands of men in particular, denying men any kind of vulnerability and ability to access their feelings, whilst also severely oppressing women and queer people, just harbors toxicity and harmful behavior.
Let's talk about the project, Who Let the Dogs Out. I read that this project came together during 2 short breaks from touring. Selin, you said, people say you have your whole life to write your debut album, but that wasn't the case for us. So can you talk about like those fast and furious 2 weeks or 2 short breaks that you worked on this?
It seems to be that we just work really well under that sort of pressure. The first session that we had, I think I was overthinking it a lot, and I was trying to write specific parts and steer it into like kind of a riffy, punky direction to kind of write in the same context of what we'd written before. And that didn't really work. By the end of the week, we had like the bones of 4 songs or so. And this was like less than 2 months before we had to be in the studio to record it. So it was very much like, oh, fuck. So we booked the like second session in. And by that point, we didn't really have a choice but to just do it. And that meant that we couldn't set ourselves any sort of limitations. If we had an idea, we just have to follow that trail and let go of any control to try and steer it in a certain direction. It's kind of like jumping on the back of a train.
It was exactly what it needed to be. Diamonds are cooked under pressure.
How are you able to translate your live performance energy to wax?
That's really important for us. Like we're a live band. Like I feel like a lot of the time, like people are like, oh, like the album's so like overproduced. Like we've got to make sure this holds up live. I think it's the opposite for us. It's like what we do live has to hold up on record. I think it's an inherent part of the band is the energy. And if it doesn't translate onto record, then I don't think we're doing our jobs right, I think it's key that manifests and like that energy has a place on the record. With track recording, we're not doing it all in like a live room, like one live band, because I don't think we need that. It just needs to have that like bit of substance to it, which I think makes us.
I think it's also just the fact that we seem to just naturally write that way. Like Phoebe said, we're a live band. Playing live is what we do most, which is why we have to firmly allocate such tight windows for recording. So we're really not the kind of band that kind of sits and composes conceptual songs, and it's all very, very intuitive and visceral. When I'm writing parts, I need to write it in a way that I can easily play it live. I write with a lot of pedals, and in some parts where it needs it, we make slight tweaks to the structure to ensure that I can switch my pedals effectively when we're playing it live. And I think because we're just naturally such a live band and we love it, and the energy is very much part of our like musical identity, we don't really have to try to translate it onto record. It's just how we write. Like it's just the identity of the band. It comes very, very naturally.
How often do you tour, and like what is your month to month, year? What does that look like?
Touring.
Just touring. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we've had like more than 2 weeks off in the last 3 years.
Wow.
I had a little bit of extra time off this year because I depped out our last US tour, but Phoebe hasn't. So I think this October was like the first time when we had 3 weeks. Well, Phoebe's had like over 3 weeks off. It's pretty much all we do. Like that's how we garnered our fan base. Like our fan base grew very, very painstakingly and organically with 200 shows a year, thereabouts, not quite. But it is what we do the most. It's how we keep ourselves afloat. It's how we pay our rent. And if we stop, then that's pretty hard. Like, we don't have any other income streams really. So
we have to tour. If we don't tour, we can't pay our rent, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we love it, but I think that's also the way that the music industry is set up. You know, the only
Hmm.
way you can actually make an income off this is from touring consistently. And some people have other avenues of money to fall back on, or like you can get like a fucking sweet deal where you can have your rent paid. But if you don't have that, then you have to tour, and if you don't, your rent won't be paid. You know, and
Hmm.
it's kind of as simple as that for every working band.
Is that sustainable?
No.
No, it's not. What we're trying to do is get, you know, if we can have better paying gigs, then we can play less gigs and have more time to ourselves, but still make the same amount of income. So that's what you know, as bands, that's what you work towards. And unfortunately, the hard graft of doing that means in order to get to that place, you have to play a shit ton of gigs. Over the next year, it seems like it's going to be a bit lighter, which is nice to kind of feel like maybe the grass is getting a little bit greener. And I'd like to think that all of, you know, the hardest parts of work are now done.
The joke of it all is as well that you have to tour in order to get to a point where you can like afford to live, but also most musicians can't actually afford to tour because when you're starting out, gigs don't pay very well at all. Like musicians are probably one of the worst compensated professionals I think there are. The way the music industry is now, it doesn't work. Like it doesn't work. It's filtering out lots and lots of good music that deserves to be heard because people can't afford to tour because they have to take time off work and they have to pay for travel. The economy is in shambles. Most people can't afford to live even when they are working 40 to 60 hours a week and to like take time off work to then most likely spend money in order to play gigs because that is mostly the case. Like we're still doing shows where we make losses. Lots and lots of big bands are. We speak to artists way bigger than us about it all the time. That's very tough to navigate. And I think you have to be really, really lucky. Like there's also lots of factors that play into it. Like me and Phoebes, there's only two of us in the band. There are a lot of bands that have like 4 to 6 members, which like significantly increases costs when you're flying or you know you need a van instead of a car. That makes music very hard to break into and it makes touring unsustainable because you have to do it to such an extent where you're just completely burnt out. And touring isn't easy. Like it's a very, very extreme environment. It's not like a normal job where you put, you know, 8 to 9 hours in and then you get to go home at the end of the day. Like it's a lot of travel and a lot of change in environment. And there's a lot to contend with, I think, emotionally as well. It's definitely taken its toll on both me and Phoebes this year. And yeah, we're kind of working towards kind of trimming the fat a little bit next year.
I do want to ask, how does the intensity of touring impact your mental health?
It absolutely kills me. I'm extremely introverted, and being around people all the time is unbelievably draining, and it makes really normal, harmless things like small talk, like hello, how are you, extremely draining when you have to do it 20 times a day and you're meeting new people every day. There's nowhere to hide. I can't retreat anywhere. Like the fact that I'm not in control of over my environment, that's extremely draining and makes me really, really anxious and kind of puts me into survival mode. And it's physically exhausting. We hardly get to sleep. We travel so much. Like we don't eat regularly because like our travel schedule is weird and you don't always find food on the road, especially for Phoebes. Like she's vegan. It's like impossible to find fast food or like quick food when we're traveling. It's a very intense environment. Lots of highs, lots of lows. It gets really, really tough. It's also very rewarding because you get to see lots of different places and you get to play your music to people, which is ultimately the dream. Like, as difficult as it is, I wouldn't want to do anything else, as much as I'm complaining about it, believe it or not.
I have really bad travel anxiety. So that's fucking hard because I'm constantly feeling like I'm going to die. But it's like no sleep, no food. So I spend a lot of my time really hungry. And then a lot of the time I'm really fucking low on energy. And then you have this immense pressure to go up on stage and you have everyone looking at you. And if you don't put on a good show and you don't give them a good time, people aren't going to be happy. And also, you're like, if I don't do this, I don't have anywhere to live because I can't pay my rent. So it's an enormous amount of pressure and there's amazing highs. And when you perform and it feels like there's this community and this connection with you and the crowd, I've never felt anything so unique and rewarding. And I wouldn't want to do anything else. It's like I get to do what I do with my best friend, and that's like my dream. But my dream comes at a cost.
Honestly, we've only now gotten to the point where we have a full crew. So it'll be really nice to like kind of have extra hands on deck to make our touring life a bit easier.
Oh yeah.
What is something that you would like to see come to fruition in your lifetime? Personally, worldwide, whatever it may be.
I'd like to see the abolition of certain tyrannical fascist governments. I'd like to see people rely more on each other than they do certain systems which are designed not to help us. And personally, I'd like to get to a point in my life where I feel like I can kind of just feel settled and do what I love and just feel happy and content with that.
Yeah, I think witnessing the collapse of capitalism and patriarchy and all of the negative effects it has on us as a society, I'd love to see us move more towards a community-based society. Yeah, from a personal perspective, I'd just love to see myself grow more as a musician and a composer. I'd love to like continue to expand the way that I write also with Phoebe. I can't wait sort of to see where both of us are going to go, because I know that we have inklings to collaborate with other people, like together as Lambrini Girls. And I know that we both kind of want to explore all aspects of our creative sides and incorporate that into how we play music and how we make a living off of it, etc. So inevitably it is going to happen. Like I can't wait to kind of see us both grow as composers and musicians, creating works and challenging ourselves further and further and surprising ourselves with what we come up with.
What legacy are y'all hoping to leave behind as Lambrini Girls?
Would like to piss people off, make them question themselves around certain issues that they may be being apathetic about. I want people to mobilize, and people who are affected by the issues that we sing about in our songs. I'd like to make people feel validated and less alone. But if you can create a sense of community for people and make people feel less lonely, that would be enough for me.
Is there anything else that y'all would like to say, or anything that you want people to know about you that might not be out there already?
ACAB, Free Palestine, Trans Lives Matter.
An end to colonial empires.
Hell yeah.